Section 3 of Poems of American History, the Colonial Era. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recorded by Esterben Simonides. Poems of American History, the Colonial Era. Chapter 1, The Discovery of America, Part 3. In 1484, Columbus laid his plan before King John II of Portugal, but became so disgusted with his treachery and double-dealing that he left Portugal and entered the service of Ferdinand and Isabella. The Spanish monarchs listened to him with attention, and ordered that the greatest astronomers and cosmographers of the kingdom should assemble at Salamanca and pass upon the feasibility of the project. Columbus, January 1487. St. Stephen's cloistered hall was proud in learning's pomp that day, for there a robed and stately crowd pressed on in long array. A mariner with simple chart confronts that conclave high, while strong ambition stirs his heart, and burning thoughts of wonder part from lip and sparkling eye. What hath he said? With frowning face in whispered tones they speak, and lines upon their tablets trace which flush each ashen cheek. The Inquisition's mystic doom sits on their brows severe, and bursting forth in vision gloom, sad heresy from burning tomb groans on the startled ear. Courage, thou Genoese, old time thy splendid dream shall crown, yon western hemisphere sublime, where unshorn forests frown, the awful Andes' cloud-wrapped brow, the Indian hunter's bow, bold streams untamed by helm or prow, and rocks of gold and diamonds thou to thankless Spain shalt show. Courage, world finder, thou hast need, in fate's unfolding scroll, dark woes and ingrate wrongs I read, that rack the noble soul. On, creation's secrets probe, then drink thy cup of scorn, and wrapped in fallen Caesar's robe, sleep like that master of the globe, all glorious yet forlorn. Lydia Huntley Sigourney. The council convened at Salamanca and examined Columbus, but it presented to him an almost impenetrable wall of bigotry and prejudice. Long delays and adjournments followed, and for 3 years the suppliant was put off with excuses and evasions. At last, worn out with waiting and anxiety, he appealed to Ferdinand to give him a definite answer. Columbus to Ferdinand, January 1491. Illustrious monarch of Iberia's soul, too long I wait permission to depart. Sick of delays, I beg thy listening ear, shine forth the patron and the prince of art. While yet Columbus breathes the vital air, grant his request to pass the western main. Reserve this glory for thy native soil, and what must please thee more for thy own reign. Of this huge globe how small a part we know, does heaven their worlds to western suns deny? How disproportioned to the mighty deep, the lands that yet in human prospect lie. Does Cynthia, when to western skies arrived, spend her sweet beam upon the barren main, and ne'er illume with midnight splendor she, the natives dancing on the limestone green? Should the vast circuit of the world contain such wastes of ocean and such scanty land? 'Tis reason's voice that bids me not think so, I think more nobly of the Almighty hand. Does yon fair lamp trace half the circle round, to light the waves and monsters of the sea? No, be there must beyond the billowy waste islands and men and animals and trees. An unremitting flame my breast inspires to seek new lands amidst the barren waves, where falling low the course of day descends, and the blue sea his evening visage laves. Here in his tragic lay Cordova's save. The time shall come when numerous years are past, the ocean shall dissolve the bonds of things, and an extended region rise at last, and typhus shall disclose the mighty land, far, far away where none have roved before, nor shall the world's remotest region be Gibraltar's rock or Chile's savage shore. Furred at the theme I languish to depart, supply the bark and bid Columbus sail. He fears no storms upon the untravelled deep, reason shall share, and skill disarm the gale. Nor does he dread to lose the intended course, though far from land the reeling galley stray, and skies above and gulfy seas below be the sole object seen for many a day. Think not that nature has unveiled in vain the mystic magnet to the mortal eye. So late have we the guiding needle planned, only to sail beneath our native sky? Ere this was found the ruling power of all, found for our use an ocean in the land, its breadth so small we could not wander long, nor long be absent from the neighbouring strand. Short was the course, and guided by the stars, but stars no more shall point our daring way. The Bear shall sink, and every guard be drowned, and great Arcturus scarce escape the sea. When southward we shall steer, oh grant my wish, supply the bark, and bid Columbus sail. He dreads no tempests on the untravelled deep, reason shall steer, and skill the soundless gale. Philip Freneau. Early in 1491, the Council of Salamanca reported that the proposed enterprise was vain and impossible of execution, and Ferdinand accepted the decision. Indignant at the thought of years he had wasted, Columbus started for Paris to lay his plan before the King of France. He was accompanied by his son Diego, and stopped one night at the convent of La Rabida, near Palos, to ask for food and shelter. The prior, Juan Perez de Marchena, became interested in his project, detained him, and finally secured for him another audience of Isabella. Columbus at the convent, July, 1491. Dreary and brown the night comes down, gloomy without a star. On Palos town the night comes down, the day departs with a stormy frown, the sad sea moans afar. A convent gate is near, 'tis late, ting-ling the bell they ring. They ring the bell, they ask for bread, just for my child, the father said. Kind hands the bread will bring. White was his hair, his mien was fair, his look was calm and great. The porter ran and called the friar made haste and told the prior came to the gate. He took them in, he gave them food, then travellers' dreams he heard, and fast the midnight moments flew, and fast the good man's wonder grew, and all his heart was stirred. The child the while, with soft sweet smile, forgetful of our sorrow, lay soundly sleeping in his bed. The good man kissed him then and said, You leave us not tomorrow. I pray you, rest the convent's guest, the child shall be our own. A precious care while you prepare your business with the court and bear your message to the throne. And so his guest he comforted, O wise, good prior, to you, who cheered the stranger's darkest days, and helped him on his way, what praise and gratitude are due. John T. Trowbridge. Isabella and Ferdinand were with their army before Granada, and received Columbus well, but his demands for emoluments and honours in the event of success were pronounced absurd. The negotiations were broken off, and again Columbus started for France. The few convert's theories were in despair, and one of them, Louis de Santangle, receiver of the ecclesiastical revenues of Aragon, obtained an audience of the Queen, and enkindled her patriotic spirit. When Ferdinand still hesitated, she exclaimed, I undertake the enterprise for my own crown of Castile. I will pledge my jewels to raise the money that is needed. Santangle assured her that he himself was ready to provide the money, and advanced 17,000 florins from the coffers of Aragon, so that Ferdinand really paid for the expedition after all. The Final Struggle, from The New World, January 6 to April 17, 1492. Yet had his son not risen from his lips, fell in swift fervid accents his desire, and Talavera's eyes of smouldering fire shone with a myriad doubts, a dark eclipse of faith hung round him, and the longed-for ships ploughed but the ocean of his starlit dreams. Time had not tried his soul enough with whips and scorns, for so this rigid master deems he makes his servant fit for the hard toils which knit the perfect garment firm and without seams. The word shall wear at last, his hurt brain teems with indignation, and he turns away undaunted, and he girds him for the fray once more. But first he hears the words of his good friend Marchena, strong with trust in the far shining end. His wanderings reached at last the lonely door of calm La Rabida. There the silence came, grateful upon his grief's consuming flame. The simple cloisters gave him peace once more, and the live ocean rolled up to the shore, and ceaseless voice of promise through the pines. The sun looked down benignant, and the roar of the far world of rivalries declines into an inward murmur, with each day growing firmer, who senses conquest at the last as shines a lamp across a rocky pass confines, making the outlet clear. Juan Perez's faith, who heard him and conceived his words no wraith of fevered fancy, but the very truth was light, to bring the Queen to know his purposes aright. O noble priest and friend, you reached the court, and turned the Queen from conquest mid-career, to hearken other triumphs glittered clear before her, and again from Helva's port the seeker came, he saw Granada's fort open its gates reluctant, and the King El Zogoibi bewail his bitter sort, and the loss which made the rich Te Deums ring, when on Livella's tower the cross bloomed like a flower. Of heaven's own growing but the sudden spring, loud with birds' silent long that strove to sing, after the winter's weary voiceless reign was overcast the storms of cold disdain. Hotly forth he fared and reached Granada's gates, when the clouds lifted and the persecuting fates relented from their fury for the Queen, listened unto the urgings manifold of Santangel and counsel wise and bold, of the far-seeing Marchioness whose keen divinings pierced the misty ocean screen, and felt the deed must surely come to pass. So they recalled him, and his life's changed scene grew bright with blooms and smile of thickening grass. O royal woman, then your hand received again the keys of a great realm in the clear glass of actions yet to be, whose fires amass infinite stores of impulse toward the good. Your image permanent lies forth from the wood of beasts malicious and the unrelenting dread. You showed the way, but sought not from the gloom to tread. The wind was fair, the ships lay in the bay, and the blue sky looked down upon the earth. Prophetic time laughed toward the nearing birth of the strong child with whom should come a day that dull earlier hours forth on the way, with holy blessings said, and bellied sails, and mounting joy that knows not let or stay. Lo, the undaunted purpose never fails. O patient master seer, for whom the far is near, the vision true, and the mere present pales its lustre, what mild seas and blossom vales awaited you, haply a paradise, but not the one which drew your swerveless eyes. Could you have known what lands were there beyond the main, you surely would have turned from gladsomeness to pain. Louis James Block. End of Section 3.